What I'm going to do, taking off from what Mathilde said, is a bit ambitious because uh, the first thing I will say is in over 25 years of consulting and working on transformation, if there's anything I've learned, it's that there are no simple answers and there's no step by step that would work for everyone. So, what I'm hoping to do over the next 20, 25 minutes is really to share with you some of the experience, the research, um, the work that we've done, and offer you certain frames, things that you can then take and apply as you're thinking about your own organization, the changes needed, and the culture you want to build. Perhaps the big thing that all of us have realized is in the last 18 months or so, uh, perhaps digital is not a big thing. It's not a big strategy. The world is digital now. We just have to figure out how we work within it. Moving to what does that then mean for organizations? We've all seen in the last few months technology disrupting business models. We've known that. But we've also seen that for a digital organization to be digitally mature, it means we have the ability to focus on the future. We need to be able to challenge the assumptions in a world where customers, their needs are changing, supply chains are changing. What is risk itself is changing. What that then means for us is we need to look at changing the way we work. So, culture, and that's the topic for today. But you can't run away from the fact that, it's also some of the essentials of how organizations are set up, their architecture, if you will. So, looking at the kind of talent, new kind of skills, new roles itself, and new ways of working, which really bring us to focus more on employee experience. Uh, of course, the whole conversation about who is now an employee is opens up another whole range of topics. But in line with the question that was coming about how do we listen to employees, we are finding that more and more the need to understand employees to make sure their experiences are great, that we're constantly in touch with them, whether that is through pulse surveys, whether that is through, quick touch bases every morning, whether that is to different ways that employees interact on internal social platforms. And of course, overall, what that means is leadership needs to change and the way we look and manage talent needs to change. So, what are some of those shifts? Matilda did a great job of sharing some of these. So I'm not going to talk about every single one of them, but a few things that really seem to hit our clients hard is one, moving to what we call adaptive governance. It's no longer strict rules and regulations. You need to be able to adjust as things go, be flexible, be agile. We need to look beyond traditional structures and hierarchies of organization silos, functional teams, and look to a truly networked organization. But that's on the outside. Let's look one step below and look at the kind of behaviors we're expecting. We're talking about moving away from knowledge being power, information being power, to much more easily accessible knowledge. We're looking to speed and moving away from perfection, looking much more at how do we get out there and then correct as we go forward. In that sense, I think Microsoft had that part down many years ago, as all of us have worked through various window upgrades and experienced the fact that they put out products before they were 100% perfect. But also looking really to, and perhaps this is the crux, is what are our beliefs and assumptions that underlie how we behave, how we plan our work, how we deliver and lead. And this is where I'll spend a minute to say, previously, organizations tended to focus on getting the one thing. They were known for one aspect: exceedingly good quality, brilliant innovation, exceptional customer service. They held very close to heart things like their frameworks, their competencies, their SOPs. Um, they also looked at, setting goals and achieving them, which, as Chakras pointed out, does not make sense, in a world where there's so much change. Now we're talking about going forward to say we need to use the power of and. So you have to be great at customer service and quality and innovation. More and more with platforms like Glassdoor being available, and many others, you'll see transparency is something that um, is becoming more and more important. There's a lot of information being released. We're seeing more and more collaborations across, and looking to see how is value created rather than how are just numbers hit. Let's take a look at an actual example of how something like that would work. Most of us, I would warrant today, are sitting listening to this from home, because a lot of us are working in a kind of a flexible hybrid kind of environment. Pre-COVID, we also had flexible working, but now, as we're thinking about moving to a post-pandemic world, hopefully soon, we are realizing that some ways of working are not going to go away. But not just where you work. It's not just work from home, but it's also about what hours you work. What kind of employee relationship? Are you a gig worker? Are you part-time? What type of work are you doing? Are you working using technology as well? Are you working with robotic supplementation? And to get all of this right, to get our whole hybrid and flexi working right, there's actually a whole ecosystem that needs to get set up. So it's a new talent strategy. And there again, that term, employee listening and communication, new performance management, um, new ways, not just of technology, but also the benefits you're going to offer people. How do you make it attractive now that people don't need to travel and can actually work for anyone, anywhere? So this is just one example. Let's move on to say, in this example, if we were to really make that shift, we'd need to start with that mindset. Start with, what do we value? What are the key principles? What are our assumptions about people? And if you think about the flexible work, very often leaders have the mindset that unless I'm looking at that person and can see them, I'm not quite sure they're actually working. So how do you move beyond that visible to assumptions about, as a leader, I know work is done when things keep moving? That then drives the kind of behavior standards we set. Then we look at what kind of policies, programs, infrastructures needed to help. And all of that together creates what is perhaps the big thing that organizations are talking about when talent is becoming, again, a huge struggle, is how do we deliver exceptional experiences to our talent, or employee experiences that make people proud to work there, have them looking to develop skills and contribute even more, and in general, being excited about delivering. To look at some of the research we've been doing, we understand that this shift is demanding huge change and change management. So we looked at organizations that were successful at doing this, and we saw uniformly they were doing better. Their leaders were doing much better in these 4 areas. The leaders were able to create inspiration, sharing this ideal future to keep people excited. They were able to anticipate customer needs, and therefore keep their customers. They were also able to recognize excellence. Again, going back to that whole performance management, do you actually recognize when someone's adding value and contributing? And finally, they were also able to be really authentic and caring. So going to what Mathilde was talking about in terms of the EQ, understanding what people are going through and supporting them through it. So while we're seeing this as something that was consistent among people doing well, something consistent across all organizations, as I said, there's no one size fits all. We have seen, again, this movement away from a standard leadership competency framework, because we are seeing that if I need to build future fit leaders, if I need to build leaders for a world where there is digital transformation, there is virtual working, there is increasing changes in how everything gets done, then I need to look at leaders who can create impact. We measure people by the impact they create. And so while many performance management systems do have behaviors in them, uh, the honest truth, and I'm sure every one of you would agree, nobody really looks at the behavior part of performance management. As long as you fit all your targets, they'll be hard pressed to not give you a good bonus. In 2019, a time that seems very long ago now, we found in some of the survey work we did that the organizations that were more digitally mature were also those who were saying, my leaders are creating greater impact across three areas: professional, people, and pioneering. So what are these three areas? Very busy slide showing you 9 areas of impact. Professional really is all around getting work done, reducing risk for the organization. So it's about service and product delivery. It's about understanding, managing risk, making sure we're meeting regulatory standards. It's about ensuring we have the technical capability needed in the organization. People is all about creating that excitement, that energy, that motivation, building teams, and being impactful as you communicate and excite people. And then pioneering. That's about finding new ways to go to market, new markets, driving that transformation in the way the organization works, and adding value to stakeholders by organization growth. Now, the important thing about this is while all these 9 areas are important across the organization, each leadership role may be focusing on a few of them and not all. So again, moving away from one size fits all to determining for each leadership role, what's most important, how do I help someone understand that impact? How do I help someone increase the levels of impact that are relevant to their role, that are relevant to our organization at this moment of time? So this paradigm of leadership impact is something we found very much helps in this whole process of getting leaders to see what they need to do and how to make that shift. But it's not just about that. We need to also be supporting our teams. And I'll link this back to what Mathilde was saying about the whole move to look and support people going through challenges with change. We are seeing with the whole dynamic world around us, not just the world of work, people need to reskill. But more than that, we've realized that this is not a one-time change. This is how the world is going to be. We are going to have people continuously going through cycles of change. We're going to see people having great demands on them, and the need to respond quickly. So as you help people understand what's transformation, what's expected of them, how can they keep confident as more and more is being demanded of them? How can they use their skills and strengths and feel part of the whole change process? We've been working on that and identified what is a new form of agility. We've all heard of learning agility, and we all look at that for our high potentials. But more and more, what's becoming important is what we call resilient agility. And that looks at an ability to change, to respond, but in a way that's resilient. So I can do this and keep doing this. Individuals with resilient agility are more effective during the kind of change we're seeing today. We're also seeing that links directly to their potential and their performance. So what is resilient agility? It's really 4 key things. The first most important, perhaps, in this environment would be how do people deal with change? And we're talking about embracing change, maintaining your composure as you go through uncertainty, ambiguity. We're talking about staying connected. Are you managing and maintaining relationships? Are you speaking up? Are you sharing your ideas? Something that is hard enough for many people to do, within current organization cultures, traditional cultures, much less over, um, virtual meetings and messages like this. The third part is enabling new ways of working. And that's really looking at uh, getting insights and sharing insights on how things could be done differently, how we could be changing and enhancing our ways of delivering services, solutions. And finally, something that's been quite a challenge for a lot of us, which is managing our drive, maintaining our focus, getting results during a time of change where there's a lot on us, and the change is not just at work, which it used to be many years ago, but now also within our own personal spheres, socially and across. So, how do we then keep focused, deliver work, um, and keep that energy and motivation? So this is again something that we're seeing more and more useful. Measure it across the whole organization, measure it for individuals, support individuals so they're building on their strengths and making sure any perhaps gaps or challenges they're facing are not overlooked and they are in fact supported. So let me end by asking you some questions before you ask questions or I get to those. Um, is think about this. What, and in the context of your own organization or your own team, what new mindsets and beliefs do you need to drive now? Are your leaders focused on delivering the right impact? And are your people demonstrating resilient agility? Those were my questions. Now, what are yours?